It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
The future segment, which is a time where we want to highlight young conservatives, try to give people hope. Please welcome to the program, we have Mr. Hunter Rivett with us. He is a young conservative. Hunter, welcome to Conduit News Radio.
Hey, man, how y'all doing?
I'm doing good, Hunter. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself. I had the privilege of meeting you yesterday when I was in Russellville at that Bob Bailey for Senate rally. And so tell us what brought you out to the rally, and you're from Russellville, correct?
Well, hey, we had a good time there yesterday, didn't we?
Oh, absolutely. It was a blast getting to meet everybody.
Yeah, there's some good people there. Well, hey, Paul, I'm originally from Eureka Springs, actually.
Uh-oh.
And
Eureka
yes,
Springs.
Sir. I'm from the northwest part of the state, and I'm from a part of Harrell County that you might not get too many young conservatives out of.
Yeah, okay. That's fantastic, Hunter, because I was about to say, Eureka Springs, I've kind of always heard that that's kind of a liberal fortress or an enclave.
Fortress? Yeah, it's yet to be briefed. It's definitely a fortress. But I go to school at Tech in Russellville. And so I've lived there for the past couple years, and have recently become involved in local politics. We were involved up there in Carroll County with Brian King, and I mean, you know Brian, he's a stud, and he's definitely one of the cogs in the Liberty machine. And well, now we're down here, and we're helping Bob, and he's just another cog in that machine. So,
no doubt.
I mean,
no doubt.
Yeah. Fight for liberty in Eureka or here in Russellville. So.
Yeah, that's really awesome. That so you're from Eureka, you were involved up there. Now you're going to school at Arkansas Tech in Russellville, and you're fighting the fight there. It's really, really important. I was saying in the first hour, this is election day for the people of Senate District 16. You have an establishment candidate. You potentially two establishment candidates because they said they're going to support Asa, and when it comes to this Arkansas Works mess, and then you have Bob Bailey who says no. And so he's clearly the anti-establishment candidate. He hasn't received any backing or money from Asa, which is a great sign, versus the opponents that have gotten all this lobbyist money from the monolith that is Little Rock. And I would just say that, last hour, it's really, really awesome responsibility for the people of Senate District 16 because when everything's said and done tonight and the polls are closed, if there's 5,000 people that have voted in this special election for this vacated seat of the late Senator Stanridge, it'll be pretty good turnout. 5,000 people, though, Hunter, have the ability to affect and give reinforcements to the grassroots conservative movement all across this state, not just in the Senate District 16. So it's a very, very, very important race today.
Right. And what it's going to boil down to, really, is do you want someone who's pro-liberty, anti-establishment, anti-ASA? I mean, the opposition who's received ASA money, it's kind of like one of those bad tattoos you get and you regret it. I wish people could see the bad tattoo of the ASA money. And the money's bad, Paul. It points out who's going to be the ASA lackey, who's going to do, I vote ASA, I support ASA. Who's going to do the search lurch? Who's going to say, you know what, we don't need special election reform. I'm lurching out of here.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Bob.
Yeah.
Bob is anti-establishment. He's going to do his own thing, but I promise you his own thing will be for the people in Senate District 16. He will not be a servant to the leaders down there at the Marble Palace. He's not going to get addicted to the Marble Rock. It's Bob. I mean, it's no one else but Bob.
Now,
and while it is unfortunate that 5,000 people
particular order
or
for
so
a reason.
will decide this way.
Because if you want to have
to those 5,000, the choice is clear. The choice is really clear.
Yeah. Now, Hunter, I get the feeling you're using terminology, Marble Rock, Marble Palace. You're a longtime listener of the program.
Hey, as soon as I came down here, that's all I listened to, man.
Well, I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Right now, Joe is showing us a picture of the rally, the very beginning of the rally, where we took a photo. And I just got to say, first of all, Bob Bailey's tent outside that early voting location is just a really great location. You see me and Bob there together. And then if you look behind, you see what is Breanne Davis's tent, which is completely unmanned. And I just want to say, like, is that the way it is all the time? I mean, it was that way most of the day yesterday. It was just nobody was there.
And I didn't know if that was the Breanne Davis campaign stop or one of those places where you can get a free Obama phone. I wasn't sure what was going on.
Oh,
But
burn.
is,
Get your Obama phones and your Tide Pods here. Vote for me.
I thought if they were giving out Obama phones, there'd be a huge line. So it's even worse than that, man. I hate it for her, but dude.
Wow. Oh, wow, I like that. Okay, so Hunter, tell us how do you become a conservative in Eureka Springs, man? Come on, tell us about that. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't live in town. I lived outside of town. I actually lived northeast of Eureka Springs, and we grew up in the mountains, just me and my family, and we always had to work. We fixed what we had to, and we hunted and we fished, and we mind our own business. We didn't care what other people were doing. When you really get down to it, conservatism is the idea that less government equals better. And the funny thing is, I think when you talk to a lot of people, they really say, well, that makes sense historically. More government didn't really work for China or Russia. 292 million people dead at the hands of government. That would mean maybe less government would be better. What it boils down to is less government equitable to more freedom, or is more government equal more freedom? The choice is clear to me, and that's really what conservatism is. Is do we love people? Do we love the ability to succeed, but the freedom to fail? Do we love that choice, and do we love the free market? When all those things get together, you get conservatism. And after just doing even the slightest bit of research, I don't see how you could come to any other philosophy or ideology that just rings more true with human nature, really.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's a great way to have made up your mind. You basically say we just didn't bother anybody, we kept to ourselves, and you do a little research, you come to this conclusion on yourself. Of course, we got the left, and so you're in college now. What year are you at Arkansas Tech?
I'm a senior.
Okay, so what's the environment like there? Obviously, I know it's an Arkansas university, so you're probably going to have more conservatives on campus than you would, let's say, Berkeley. Okay. But you still have this liberal ideology through all of the university systems. So how is it? How is it being a conservative? I mean, are there a lot of liberals, around you? Are you accepted, or what's the status there?
I'm not a total pariah. See, I'm in social studies, education, and political science. So I go to a lot of education courses, and we all know how state education is. It's just the IV system of the state. And without state-funded education to manipulate the minds of our youth, statism, big statism, would not continue to be a thing. So the education courses, you kind of have to hold your own, and you're like, well, that makes no sense, but I don't want to fail the class. It's unfortunate. That's how it goes.
So
now,
you're hang on real quick. You're saying some of the philosophies that they're teaching you in these education classes, they make no sense, but you go along with them because, I mean, you want to pass the class. I think that's really sad. I mean, I understand why people do that. You don't want to stand up and say this textbook is wrong. This is garbage. That's not going to get you anywhere. But that is an interesting, state of the affairs in the education community right now.
Well, in education, the current trend is the rebirth of social Marxism, and that class is inherent, and we must do everything to equal the classes, and that's not right. But when you get to the social studies and the political science and the history, you kick it up a notch, and you get social justice warrior history, the revision history. Now, this is what I say. People, and I've always had a problem with this when people say, well, they ain't teaching the right history. Well, the thing is, they're not teaching all of the history. They're not teaching all of the history. They tell you that Jamestown settlers had a really hard time. Well, why did they have a really hard time? They were practicing social socialism
Yeah.
and farming methods that weren't working. And then they said, well, let's give each person the freedom to fail, and they're responsible for their own food and safety. But you're never taught that. You're never taught that the Second Amendment is there to protect all of the other rights, and you're never taught about Jacobite uprising or the battle, of Concord and Lexington. What was that about? Because the British were going to take the arms of the colonists, and they're like, no, these are our arms. We have no way to defend ourselves. But you will not be taught that. You'll be taught guns are scary. Paul, they're scary. They shoot, walk in, and they kill people. But it's not right.
Yeah.
And the thing is I fear that a lot of students just don't do the research. And I'm going to say it. The left is lazy. A lot of the left is lazy because this is us. This is the right. This is the conservative. The conservatives have the facts. But on the left, you have a lot of feelings. But when they go out the door with the racist card, what are you supposed to say? Because now they're saying, if you say you're not racist, you're racist. So it's a 360. It's not a 361. It's a 360 lose if you are conservative. If you have the notion of free market, you're a racist. If you believe in the family and love, you're sexist. It's just there's no winning. And I mean, we're gonna have to take every win we can get. But man, it's looking on the college campus. It's looking pretty bad. Now, what you said earlier, yes, universities in Arkansas are not so bad, but how bad does it have to get? I mean, last year we had a speaker to talk about how Islam was a feminist religion. What?
Really?
Are you for real?
Really? Are you serious?
The new trend is how oppressive Christianity is and how awesome Islam is. What? Has anyone done any research? And yes, it's a feminizing force. You will find no better equality than that in the Islam world. And I invite these feminists to go to this Muslim country and see how long it takes you to, just tell me how feminist it is.
Yeah, Phil, tell me how empowered you feel over men.
When you have to have four men testify that you were raped in court, tell me how empowering.
Yeah, man, that is disgusting. That is weird. Yeah, and that's what you're describing, Hunter, is actually pretty scary. Because when people are putting out supposed facts that are actually the complete, not even close to truth, like you said, the complete opposite of what the reality of the situation is, you start to really get worried because you do have these people on the left who, they're convinced, they're convicted, they believe in all of this stuff strongly. And what is that going to, when you have a society that is now can't agree on anything, or at least that seems to be where we're moving. You can't agree on anything. What are you worried that, obviously you just worry that eventually they're going to say, you know what, we just think you don't need to be alive anymore. We need to take care of this because we're just so incompatible and you're making our lives so miserable. And that we've seen that with the Antifa movement. We've seen how they want to get violent, how this is what they think, how they don't want to have a Western civilization style debate because they, number one, lose, and they just think that the whole system is racist and it's got to be torn down. Right, and this is what I've started to think about some of what I call the loony. There's loony left, lazy left, and just the loco left. The loco left, I think they just need help. The lazy left, they just have to do the research. But then there's the loony left, and I think that's probably the median. And this is why people like Oprah really personify the loony left. It's because Oprah believes if you say Islam is a feminist religion, Islam is a feminist religion, Islam is a feminist religion, that it'll happen. That force is true. It's kind of like there's no place like home, there's no place like home. She goes back to Kansas. Well, that's not how it works in the world. You have to call it for what it is. You have to call Arkansas work for what it is. Obamacare.
You have to call exactly. You have to call the veteran tax break for what it is. Not a tax increase.
A tax increase.
Right. And we can't.
This
we
is
can't
fun.
Lie about
this is fun, Hunter. I'm having fun.
Awesome.
Oh,
But
my
I mean,
goodness.
it's just bad, dude.
I know. Well, hey, listen, Hunter, I appreciate it. We do have to go. I want to have you on again soon because this has been a great man. We have had some fantastic young conservative segments here the last three or four times. So, but Hunter, I definitely want to have you back on. And real quick, what are you doing? You're volunteering for the Bob Bailey campaign for Senate, and I know again this is election day. So, real quick, how do you plan on spending your day?
Hey, on Election Day, you'll probably find me in Russellville running around with a sign getting you have to vote. That's all it is. We're going to be hard today, man.
All right. Hunter Rivett, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much for being a patriot.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Folks, it's Conduit News Radio. My name's Paul Harrell. Don't go anywhere. Back in just a moment.